This was the biggest choke in NBA history, and that's not hyperbole. There's no getting around that. I think you want to talk about other big chokes, you can maybe talk about some in the conversation. To me, with the time and the score that was left, 14-point lead, 2:50 to go. You've never seen anything like that ever in the history of the NBA. The Reggie Miller game was not nearly as bad as this. 8 points in 9 seconds or whatever it was not nearly as bad. Because in that game, you really just had to have one thing go wrong and then the game was tied because it was a 6-point lead. The Knicks had a 6-point lead with about 18 seconds left in that game. So he hits a three, they steal the inbound, he hits another three, the game's tied. There's only one thing that really has to happen there. This game, 14-point lead with 2:51 to play. Let's even go further. 17-point lead with just over 6 minutes to play. 17-point lead with just over 6 minutes to play, and a 14-point lead with just under 3 minutes to play. And then a 9-point lead with 52 seconds. You cannot lose that game under any circumstance. You have to give that game away. Now, give the Pacers credit first and foremost. They've done this, not to this extent, but they've done this all playoffs. They did this against Milwaukee. They came back from 7 down. They did this against the Cavs. They came back from 7 down or 9 down in the final minute. So they've been doing this. Give them credit. Now, pretty much all of those Nesmith threes were open. He even said so after the game. If you heard him, he said, I couldn't believe it was that open, so I just kept taking them. But you still got to make them. And to make all 6, that's impressive. Made 6 straight threes with that pressure at that point in the game when you need every one of them. So give him credit. Give the Pacers credit. Halliburton's shot was completely lucky. Let's just be real. So I'm not getting into the whole Halliburton thing. He's been great in clutch time. This was a lucky shot. He missed the shot. The ball almost hit the ceiling and came down and went. I've never seen that in my entire life. So let's give Nesmith the credit for this. And then Halliburton hits a lucky shot. But the Pacers won. And you got to give him credit. You got to give credit where credit's due. But this was all about the Knicks. I said this, if you remember when I recapped Knicks Celtics games 1 and 2. I told you that was all the Knicks fans like, oh, this is the most amazing comeback. Yeah, good comeback. But that was more about Boston blowing the game than it was about the Knicks coming back. And last night was more about the Knicks blowing the game than Indiana coming back. For you to come back, for a team to come back from that deficit, which Knicks were down 20 plus late in the third quarter, both games to Boston. Pacers down 14 with less than 3 minutes to go is even more egregious and even more ridiculous. For you to come back in those games, the team that blows the lead has to make so many mistakes. It's almost absurd. That's the only way you can come back, no matter how well you play. And last night, the Knicks made about 25 consecutive mistakes in the end of that fourth quarter. And let's go through it real quick, and then we'll talk about the overall aftermath and everything else. You go into the first mistake, which wasn't in this segment of 3 minutes where they blew the game. The coach, Tom Thibodeau. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You cannot use your challenges unless you cannot use your challenge before the very end of the game unless you are 1,000% positive it's going to be overturned. You cannot do it. It is way too risky and way too costly. And Coach Thibodeau used a challenge on the most obvious play. Jalen Brunson committed an offensive foul. It was an offensive foul. There was no way that was being overturned. It was a horrendous challenge on every level. And then he loses his challenge in the third quarter there, or early in the fourth, whatever it was. And now he doesn't have it for a play when Halliburton gets a phantom foul call when Brunson fouls him. Actually, Halliburton kicked him in the groin area. Should have been an offensive foul. Can't challenge it. Another play. Can't challenge it. So the Knicks don't have any challenges. And on the flip side, Rick Carlisle, who saved his challenges properly, saved it till 30 seconds left, and he needed both of them. He needed to get both of them right to win that game. And he did. Because he used his challenges properly. He used it on the OG foul. He used it when he had to use it. Now, I thought that was still a foul. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't get that call. They do this all the time. Siakam hits the ball first at OG's hand. Then he hits his arm. Then as he's grabbing his jersey. So regardless if he hits the ball first, who cares? It's still a foul. Because if you want to say, oh, he first knocked the ball out, so who cares what happens after? Well, how is OG going to get the ball back if he's getting his jersey pulled and he's getting his arm slapped? So that should have been a foul. I don't know why that's reviewed and still and overturned. To me, that's an NBA rule that makes no sense. And they do that a lot. So I'm not blaming the refs in this specific game. That call makes no sense to me. It's a foul. He smacked his arm, grabbed his jersey. It's a foul, period. I don't care if he hits the ball or not. So he uses his challenge there, gets it right. If Carlisle doesn't save his challenges there, the Knicks are up 5 at that point. OG goes to the line. If he makes one of two, it's a 6-point game with 30 seconds left, and the Pacers have to go down the other end. He gets the challenge right. The Pacers hit a 3, and now it's only a 2-point game. And now you're at the precipice of this whole collapse. Huge play. Tibbs poorly using his challenges. Carlisle properly using his challenges. Problem number 1. Number 2. You go on a 14-0 run with Deuce and Mitch in the game. Without Brunson on the court. Towns was playing. I think Towns and Mitch were playing the 4 and 5 together at that point. They go on a 14-0 run to blow the game open. Great. They played some of the best basketball they've played all playoffs. Now, the Pacers had made a couple shots. I think it went from a 17 to a 14-point game, something, because they brought Brunson in with 5 minutes left. And I was good with that. I understand. You want to bring Brunson back in the game. He had 5 fouls. That's why he was out. Bring him back in the game. To me, I would not have taken both Deuce and Mitch out. They were playing great basketball. Their defense was great. That's where, as a coach, he did it against the Celtics. He left Mitchell Robinson in, I think it was game 2, and Deuce for pretty much the end of game 2, and they won the game, and they were instrumental in that. I would have done the same thing here. I would have taken Towns out. You were already up 14 points. You didn't need the offense at that point. I would have left Hart on the bench, who is having a rough defensive game. Left Deuce out there with Mitch. Have your best defensive team out there. You still have a good shooting team out there. You have Brunson out there. You're going to score, and you step up and guard the 3-point line. He didn't do that. Mistake 2. And mistake 3 is a product of mistake 2. Because what happens? Now, like I said on IG earlier, give Nesmith credit. He knocked them all down. Made 6 threes in a row, which I don't care how open you are. That is impressive. So give the dude credit. He stepped up, he made huge shots, and he made the shots. And that's all you got to say. But the only way for the Knicks to blow a 14-point lead with under 3 minutes to go is to give up threes. That's the only way. You can't lose the game if you're giving up twos with that little time left and you having a chance to score, and you're inevitably going to score, and the Knicks did score in that time. You can't lose the game if you give up twos. And what did the Knicks do? They let Aaron Nesmith, who's a good rotation player. He's not a star. He's a good rotation player who cannot create much offense for himself. He's more of a catch and shoot, maybe a couple dribbles here, attack a closeout type of guy. You let him walk into 6 pretty much open threes. It's inexcusable. Regardless of the chances of him making all of them, he still's got to make them, and give him credit for that. And it's not easy to make 6 open threes anyway. But you gave him a chance to make them, because if you just ran him off the 3-point line, and I'm not just talking about him, the entire team, run them off the 3-point line. You're up 14 with under 3 minutes left. A 2 doesn't matter. Run them off the three-point line. They don't do it. They give him open three after open three after open three. Well, you know what he does? He buries them. He buries them. And a team that has come back all playoffs, came back against Milwaukee, came back against Cleveland, has confidence that they can do that. And if you give them confidence that they are there again to do it, they're going to take it. And they did. And the Knicks have no one to fault for but themselves, because every one of those 6 threes, aside from the last one, which Hart tried to play defense and fell down. And like I said, it was a rough defensive game for Hart. He was not good on defense, which is why I would have left Deuce in the game. He tried to play defense, fell down, and he got another open three on a curl because he fell down. So the Knicks give up 6 open threes, which is the only way you could lose the game. They give up those. So now they're giving up threes. So that's part 3. Part 4, free throws. The Knicks went 28 of 40 at the free throw line, and Robinson only took 2. So they were 28 for 38 from the line. That's not good, and it's not good enough. And 3 of those misses were in that stretch in the fourth quarter. Brunson missed a free throw. Now, he made a lot of them too, so he missed 1, but he still missed 1. Towns missed a big free throw. He went 1 of 2. And OG missed, obviously, the biggest free throw at the end. He goes 1 of 2. Any one of those free throws goes in, Knicks win the game. Part 4 of the choke. Part 5. First off, a couple plays at the end there. Brunson gets caught in the corner, right? Gives it up, get up the court, gets it back. Now, the pass to OG where Carlisle challenged it and OG didn't catch it cleanly and then got fouled, but he didn't get fouled, whatever it was. Brunson's got to hold the ball there. You're up 5 with 32 seconds left. There's 22 on the shot clock. You don't need a contested basket there. I know you're trying to get a quick dunk and layup. I get it, and that's normally the right play. But there, run the clock, make them foul you. Make Brunson make the free throws, make them foul you. I thought it was too close. Siakam was down there. It wasn't a wide open layup anyway. Maybe if he catches it cleanly, he's probably going to dunk it, but it's a risky play, and there's a lot of congestion, and you want to take caution off the table there. So I would have held on to that ball. Said it at the time. But that wasn't the biggest issue. OG's got to catch it too. Part 6. The final part. Which no one's talking about, but was a big deal. I am all for, I'm very pro fouling up 3 late in the game with seconds to go. I'm very pro that. The Knicks didn't do it last year against Philly in Game 5 of the first round series. There was about 5-6 seconds left. Maxey runs up the court, buries a 3. We go to overtime. Philly wins the game. They go to Game 6. They have to pull it out in Game 6. That should have been a foul. The Knicks did not foul. They let him walk into it, and they paid for it. They should have fouled there with that much time left. However, last night, they should not have. 13 seconds left in the game. 14 seconds, I think, when they caught it. Indiana down by 3. 14 seconds left, side out of bounds in the front court. They inbound it. They get it to Nesmith, obviously. He just hit 6 threes in a row. They're going to try to get him for another 3 to tie the game. Why wouldn't you? OG's on Nesmith now. Nesmith catches, and he's about to go into a fadeaway tough 3. And OG fouls him before he shoots the 3 with 13 seconds left. I think 12.9, 12, whatever it was. Now, in that situation, there is too much time to foul. You can't foul with that much time on the clock. And I'll explain why. I know he could have made the 3. Sure, he could have. He was on fire. And he would have been a tough 3. Maybe he would have made it. Who knows? But you actually were guarding him that time. The reason you can't foul there is because now that you foul, you put Nesmith at the line. He goes and hits 2. Now you're only up 1. You have to inbound the ball, and you have to hit 2 free throws. Indiana's still got a timeout and 12 seconds, 11 seconds left to play with. And the Knicks don't have a good enough free throw shooting team to play like that with that much time left in the game. Because unless they get it into Brunson, there's not a whole lot of confidence. You're definitely knocking down 2 free throws. Hart, not a great free throw shooter. OG, not a great free throw shooter. Bridges, not a great free throw shooter. And Towns is a good free throw shooter, but he had just missed 1. And you don't get the ball into your center on an inbounds. It doesn't happen. You're not getting the ball to your center on an inbounds and have him bring up the court. So he's most likely not going to get it anyway. So if you don't get into Brunson, there's a good chance you're missing one of those 2 free throws. And then once you miss one of the 2, you're up 2, and now you're trying to play to not lose the game. Because the Pacers now could come down, and they tried to shoot a 3 and can make a 3 and end the game. Or if they make a 2, you're going overtime. So now you're just trying to not lose the game. So what you have to do there with that much time, now if there's 5, 6 seconds left, you 100% foul. Because there's just not enough time. They would have to, if he misses, they have to rush up the court and fire up a shot. So then you might do it. 12 seconds is way too much time to foul. It's almost 13 seconds. You just can't do it, especially when you don't have a great free throw shooting team. So instead, you should have played good defense on Nesmith, made him fire up a tough 3, and God forbid he makes it, it's a tie game with 10 seconds left, and you're going to have the last shot on your racket with the best closer in the game. And you deal with it then. Brunson has the ball, you get a chance to win it, and that's that. And if you don't win it, you go to overtime. So another terrible, under-the-radar mistake there by the coaching. Can't foul there. Too much time. OKC did it against Denver in game 1 and bit them too in that series. Fouling is correct. The amount of time was not correct. And the Knicks can't figure out at this situation at the end of games for the life of them. They do this every single series. They cannot figure out when to foul. They've been going back 2 years now. They don't foul when they should foul. They don't know whether they should foul. They didn't discuss it. I don't know how this isn't discussed. This is a play that you go over 50 times at the end of games. End of game, late game situations. You go over and practice. How many times? You should know when you're fouling and when you're not fouling. What the time and score is. I have no idea why you would not know that. So those 6 things, plus then in overtime, the missed goaltending call, which was a bad call, but there's nothing you can do about it. Like I said to Knick fans who called me today and asked me about it, I said, oh, well, if they missed the goaltending call, we would have won. Well, you know what? Who knows? You would have been up 6. It obviously was a huge swing. Missed goaltending. Knicks would have been up 6. Instead, they come down, hit a 3 off the fast break, and it's 1. So, yeah, huge deal. But you know what? Refs get calls wrong sometimes. It happens all the time. It happens all the time throughout these games, and you can't leave it up to the refs. Whether you win or lose the game. Nobody cares about that. Refs are human. They're going to make mistakes. Overall, I didn't think it was a poorly officiated game. Thought it was pretty fair. Refs made a couple bad calls. It's going to happen. The Knicks put themselves in that position to be live or die by the ref, and that can't happen. So, all those things led to this epic choke collapse like you've never seen ever before in NBA history. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. It was nothing like, listen, the Celtics who were up 20 plus, the Knicks still had a quarter plus. They had, 15 minutes of the game to come back. So, yeah, that was a collapse, but not like this. Not 14 points with under 3 minutes to go. You have to try to lose that game. So, give the Pacers credit. They took it, but this one's on the Knicks. And just like it was on the Celtics in that series, and it was on Cleveland in game 2 of that series. But you know what? It doesn't matter because the winner is going to be the winner and the loser is going to be the loser. So, the Celtics, everyone can say the Celtics were the better team, and they probably were against the Knicks, but they blew those first 2 games, and it cost them the series. Now, we'll see if the Knicks can get themselves off the mat, dust themselves off, and be ready to send a message in game 2 and get back on track. Because if they don't win game 2, this series is over. Now let's change the glasses. Look face to face. Look eye to eye for this last piece. Game 2 is a must-win game for the Knicks. We know that. You can't lose 2 games at home, the first 2 games at home, and expect to win the series. You can't do it. It's not going to happen. The Knicks are a good road team. That is true. There's too many things going against you at that point. You have to win the 2 games in Indiana, and then you'd have to win 2 of the next 3 games. It's not going to happen. Have to win tomorrow night. And you have to send a message tomorrow night that that game was a fluke and that it's not going to happen again. Because Indiana right now has got all the confidence. The Knicks if they're not doubting themselves after that, they wouldn't be human. They're licking their wounds. They probably couldn't sleep last night. I couldn't, and I'm a fan. They probably couldn't sleep last night. Imagine what the coaching, the players, they couldn't sleep. No chance. They're going to be thinking about this now for the next 24 plus hours until game 2 tips off. And they better be ready. Because Indiana is going to be playing with house money tomorrow night. That game is unimportant to them. If they win the game, they take a stranglehold of the series. If they lose, they already did what they did. They came and did what they had to do. They got the split. They took home court. They did everything they needed to do. This is a game they're going to play free and loose, and whatever happens, happens. And that's a dangerous team to play. And we're going to find out. Everyone says, oh, this Knicks team they're dogs. They're resilient. They have mental toughness. They came back against the Celtics. They did these things against the Pistons. Well, you know what? We're going to find out how mentally tough they are in these next 3 games. Because they will never have to come back, most likely. Shouldn't say never after what we've seen this playoffs. You are not most likely going to have to come back from a bigger gut punch than they had in game 1 there. It's as bad a loss as you're ever going to have. It's almost hard to believe that even happened. So, we're going to see what they're made of in games 2, 3, and 4. And let's just call like game 1 like it is. The Knicks dominated that game for 46 minutes. They outplayed the Pacers on every level. The Pacers couldn't stop them. The Knicks defense wasn't great, but it didn't need to be because their offense was so good. Brunson was 40 plus. Towns was 35 plus. The bench was great. The Knicks, they did everything they had to do to win the game except actually win the game. And I guess what you would take out of that if you're trying to be an optimist and you're a Knicks player and you say, okay, we got to look at this. You are a better team than the Indiana Pacers. You outplayed them the entire game. You have better players than the Pacers. You're a better team than the Pacers. Pacers are a good team. They're not a great team. They're not a great team. They've been very fortunate in a lot of these games to come back. You give them credit for that. This is not a great basketball team. The Knicks are better than this team. And they need to go out there the next 3 games and show it. Because the best team doesn't always win. I thought the Celtics were a better team than the Knicks. They didn't win. They choked the first 2 games. They blew the series. Now the Knicks choke game 1. Are they going to come back in game 2 and make it a double? Make it a daily double? Or are they going to pull themselves off the mat, send a message, and then take care of business? Because now the way this series is set up, the Knicks have a must-win on tomorrow night on Friday. Have to win. You lose, series is over. Can't lose the first 2 games at home. You win that game, and then you have to win one of the next 2 games in Indiana. So you have to win 2 of the next 3 games, basically, now, is the situation the Knicks put themselves in. They have to win 2 of the next 3 games to be back in this series. And then you're just 2-2. You win 2 of the next 3, you just break even. And that's what they have to do. They after all the good work they did against Boston, after all the comebacks and everything else, and getting past the Celtics, the mighty Celtics, whether it was with Tatum or not Tatum, still a terrific team. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for these Knicks players. You don't get many chances like this to get to the finals. No offense to Indiana, but they are not a top basketball team. They are a second-round basketball team, playoff team, in my opinion. Same team as last year. If the Knicks don't get hurt last year, I think they beat them. They were up 2-0. I think that's a 5 or 6 game series. Indiana would have lost the second round. This year, if Cleveland wasn't injured, I thought the Cavs would have beat them. Hey, they take advantage of it. You give them credit. But they are not a great basketball team. They're an atrocious defensive team. You saw it last night. Hideous defensively. Hideous. They're a good offensive team, but they don't have superstar players on their team. This is a team the Knicks should beat. They have the best player on the floor. They have a more talented team. Pacers are deeper, and they probably are better in the coaching department, but that's it. No disrespect to Thibodeau, but Carlisle is probably one of the 3 or 4 or 5 best coaches in the league. And he proved it again last night. The Knicks should be able to win this series, whether they won last night or not. We'll see if they're mentally strong enough and mentally tough enough to overcome what just happened and beat a team they should beat. But to lose a game like that, it doesn't get any worse than that from a sports perspective. It just doesn't. It doesn't. There's no way to have a worse loss than that, unless it's in the NBA Finals. You can't come back from more than 14 points with less than 3 minutes to go. I mean, it's almost like it's unfathomable. Because everything has to go wrong here, everything's got to go right here. It's almost impossible. So now their backs are against the wall. They say they're tough. They say they're resilient. Let's see, because you're going to have to go ahead and win 2 of the next 3 games to win this series. Otherwise, you're not winning. You're not winning down 3-1 going to Indiana. I mean, 3-1 in this series to Indiana. It's not going to happen. So, devastating. There's no other way around it if you're a Knicks fan. Euphoric if you're a Pacers fan. You stole another one. It's like the heavens are helping you out here. It's amazing what they've done in this playoffs. To win 3 games of this magnitude from as far back as they've been, it's almost impossible. To win 1 is absurd. They've won 3, 1 in each series. And now they steal home court. And I've said this a million times, chat. And Dadpool, you're right. If they made their free throws, conversation wouldn't be happening. But I said this earlier, Dadpool, and I'll say this again for you. I broke down in long form, if you go watch the video after, I broke down in long form all the things that the Knicks did wrong to choke this game away. But I'll give it to you in short form here. Not having your challenge when you need it. Using it on a terrible offensive foul on Brunson, which was clearly an offensive foul. Should have never used the challenge there. Horrendous. And you can't use your challenges until the end of the game unless you're 100% sure that it's going to get overturned. It's okay, Dadpool. Don't worry. I'll give you a quick one. Carlisle saved his challenges. Saved his challenge, used it at the exact right time at the very end of the game, and the 2 challenges, because he won the first one, he got the second one, the 2 challenges he used, if he doesn't get both those right, they probably lose the game. Tibbs uses his in the 3rd quarter or early 4th or whatever it is on a terrible challenge that was never going to happen. It was never going to be overturned. He didn't have the challenges. That's a huge flip there. Then, like Dadpool said, missing your free throws. The Knicks were 28 of 40 from the line. If you want to take out Robinson, they were 28 of 38. Not good enough. They missed 3 free throws between Brunson, OG, and Towns in the last 5 minutes. Can't miss those. Especially Towns and Brunson. Top free throw shooters. And then giving up 6, not 1, not 2, not 3, 6 wide open threes to Aaron Nesmith is inexcusable. Give him credit, like I said earlier, Dadpool, for making them. You got to make them too, and he deserves all the credit for making them. But you gave him 6 open threes to shoot. And he's a good three-point shooter, and he found his own, and he made him. And if you just played defense and ran them off the three-point line, they could never have come back making 2s in that game. It could not happen. The only way the Knicks could lose that game is to give up a bunch of 3s, and that's exactly what they did. And they let them have it. And then on top of that, Dad Pool, the last thing I explained was fouling with 13 seconds left, up 3. Now, I said this. I am very pro fouling at the end of games with seconds left. I don't think you ever give the team a chance to hit a 3 to tie the game. But you know what? You can't. It depends on time and score. You can't foul. Excuse the fire truck here. We're in New York City. That's what it is. When you foul with 13 seconds left in the game, there's still too much time where you have to make free throws and stop the other team. The Pacers had a timeout left. The Knicks don't have a great free throw shooting team unless you get it to Brunson. OG, Hart, Bridges, not great free throw shooters. So you're setting yourself up once Neesmith makes the 2 free throws that you've got to make 2 on your own or you have a chance to lose the game in regulation. Can't happen. This is not the same situation as the Sixers game 5 last year when there was like 6 or 7 seconds. Maxey had the ball in the backcourt. They had no timeouts. He runs the ball up and they didn't foul him once he got in the front court. That they should have fouled. There was too little time left. Here with 13 seconds, you can't foul there. He was about to heave a fadeaway 3. If he makes that, God bless him. You know what happens then? You're still tied with 10 seconds left and a chance to win the game with the best closer in the game. That's what you got to do. If he had made it. Once you foul, he makes 2. Now OG goes to the line. He misses 1. And now you're hoping you don't lose the game in regulation. Can't happen. The Knicks have got to shore up their late clock fouling situations. Dad Pool, you're right about that too. I love Deuce too. We don't have a legit backup PG, that's true. But however, Dad Pool, the one pushback I would have to that is Brunson went out of the game with 5 fouls at the beginning of the 4th quarter. Deuce came in, played backup point, and the team went on a 14-0 run. And that's when they blew the game open. So yes, I agree with you overall, but last night it had no bearing on the game. Because the team actually played their best basketball with Deuce as the backup point guard through that stretch of the 4th quarter until 5 minutes. I think it was about 10 minutes left to 5 minutes left to give the Knicks the 17-point lead that they had. And to be honest, Dad Pool, when they brought Brunson back in, I would not have taken Mitch and Deuce out. They were playing too well. And he didn't take them. If you remember game 2 of the Celtics series, he left them in for the stretch run of the game because they were playing so well and they ended up winning the game. Last night, he takes them out. I would not have done that. You're up 6, I think it was 14, 15 points when Brunson came back in the game. Bring Brunson in, take Towns out, take Hart out. Leave Deuce, leave Mitch in. You need defense there. You don't need offense. And Hart's defense was not good last night. You still have some shooting with Deuce there. Brunson, you got plenty of offense and you have your best defensive team. That's what they should have done. That was a mistake too, in my opinion. So many things here to look at. So many mistakes in this game from the Knicks. And once again, like I said when I came on, Dad Pool, you got to clean it up. The Pacers are a good basketball team. They're not a great team. I'm sorry, they're not. The Knicks dominated that game. They should have won that game. That game was in the bag. It was in the deep freeze. And they let the Pacers off the hook, and they let them have life, and they let them come back, and then the Pacers took the game. And now the Knicks put themselves in a position where they need to come in and win 2 of the next 3 games, and tomorrow night now is a must-win game. And now their backs are against the wall for the first time really in the playoffs. They have not been down in a series yet in the playoffs. If you're just tuning in, first time they've been down in a series. And they lost home court already. Just a disaster of epic proportions. And we're going to see what kind of heart and toughness they have tomorrow night. That's all there is to it. Are they going to pick themselves off the mat? Are they going to dust themselves off? You'd think it, listen, the Halliburton choke The problem is it happened so fast, I don't think the Knicks really even realized what was going on, and then all of a sudden they're in overtime. It might give them motivation going into game 2. That's possible. But I think it happened so fast, and they just didn't know what was going on in overtime, and it just was like all of a sudden they're in overtime. I don't think they realized what was really going on there. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to see more when it comes to game 2, if they use that as motivation. And we're going to see. Listen, one thing I would say so far in this playoffs, they had a terrible game 5 against Detroit. They had a terrible game 3 against Detroit. Then a terrible game 5 against Detroit. They had a terrible game 2 against Detroit. They came out in game 3, played their best game of that series. They had a terrible game 5 against Detroit. Came out in game 6, closed it out. They had a terrible game 3 against the Celtics. They came out in game 4 and played a great game. They had a terrible game 5 against the Celtics. They came out in game 6 and played a great game. So let's see if they do it again. Regardless, I appreciate you, chat. Game 2 tomorrow night. I'll be on TikTok live for the second half of Wolves Thunder tonight at around 9:45 Eastern time. So tune in there for TikTok live. I'll be on for the play-by-play of Thunder Wolves second half tonight. And then tomorrow we'll be back live from the Garden for Pacers-Knicks game 2 as the Knicks try to even the series after that horrendous loss. So I appreciate you, chat. Tune in TikTok live, 9:45 Eastern time.